morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, I feel like we're all here now. We're all in the room together. So we're excited to have you with our panel this morning as we talk about some of the challenges and similarities between large and small shop IT shops. I think it will be a fascinating conversation today, and I'm looking forward to your questions toward our fantastic panelists on today. I wanted to just kind of ground the conversation a little bit so we can see some of the differences between the two specters of IT, if you will. So, so of course, we have the large shop IT departments. Anybody can relate to this picture here? Okay. Any others can relate to this picture here?
That's our city.
That's your city? Okay. All right, and then you have this. How many of you can relate to this? Right. So we have a definitely, especially here in the state of North Carolina, where you have large cities, you got small rural shops, small city shops, and so it's interesting to think about how do we provide the best IT possible to our constituents. So we're going to have a fantastic discussion from our panelists today. We have with us Frances Davis, who is from Mecklenburg County. She's the IT manager there. We also have Randy Cress, who is the CIO for Rowan County. We have Chris Smith, who is a system administrator from the city of Lexington. And last but definitely not least, Chris Niver, who is the IT director / CIO for the city of Conover. So what I asked the panelists to send me was their org chart. And so what we end up boiling it down to was the largest, which is Frances. She is the largest shop. And so when you look at her org chart, you will see that they just have an org chart starting off with their leadership group. This is not the whole IT department, just the leadership group. And if you look at it, the total count of their IT department is 153 FTE. Is that correct, Frances? Am I reading that right? I said 153 FTE. That's what she has in her IT department. Someone would say that's bigger than their city, right? And you go through this, and each of the directors have their own org charts, right? I won't read all this stuff to you. Just want to.
Oh, why not?
I just, those who don't have this IT department, I want to make you jealous right now. So we're going through this, and then you have the city of Conover. So today we're going to actually have a conversation, because I really think that there are some similarities, even though our org charts don't look alike. I do think there are some similarities of what we're trying to do for our customers and our clients within our own IT shops. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the panel to have some opening comments, and then we're going to do questions, and hopefully you all will have some questions that you will ask our panel. So Chris, since you're closest to me,
All right.
we'll have you start this show off.
Well, as was mentioned, I'm Chris Smith from the city of Lexington. We support, I say we, there's currently 4 of us in our department. We do currently have an opening available, so that would put us at a 5-person, which is pretty much where we maintain current staffing at. We support about 340 employees over about 220 devices, desktop, laptop, and then we also manage our mobile devices as well. Run a server farm and standing up a DR site, so not only are we focused internally on the clients, but we also have the servers that we maintain. We run a police department and fire department as well. So we've got public safety involved in all that as well. And currently we're running a 4-person shop, and we stay pretty busy. So I will go ahead and pass it over.
Of course, I'm Frances Davis. I'm the ITSM Service Operations Manager. And And really what I do is I manage the service desk and the desktop team. Currently, for the last couple of years, we've been in sort of transition as far as how we provide support to our customers. And, well, right now, we support a little bit over 6,000 employees. We have probably about 1,600 applications that we support, with a little bit over, close to about 10,000 devices. As you saw, we have 153 staff, and that's if we were fully staffed at the time. We also have some contractors in now and also interns working with us. I know, right?
It's a really small shop.
It's and as I said, prior to a couple of years ago, the way we received work was it was coming in all different ways, and it really showed. We did like flow charts to show how all this work was coming to us, and it was coming in anyway, email, walk-bys, drop-throughs, whatever. And since we've had a new CIO, some of y'all probably heard about it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. One thing he has done is working to give us a single point of entry, which we're doing like a strategy and planning team who goes out and talks with the departments to get our information, to see what they need us for. And right now, on the area that I'm in, like I said, ITSM, we're a newly formed unit. What we're doing now is Sandy Goodwin back in the back, so she's our new IT manager, and she's on service design and transition, and I'm, like I said, service operations. And our group is currently all working toward getting our ITO D3 foundation certification, because that's so we can all talk common language. I think that's about it for us right now.
But it changes hourly.
Yes. So my title may change before I leave out this room.
As mentioned, I'm Chris Niver from the city of Conover. I am celebrating my 10th year as Conover's IT person. Golly, manage everything. Think of all the hats you have in your departments and things you do. I do all of those things, and then some. It seems like if it has electricity going to it, to change the light bulb, I'm the guy they call. So it's a really, I wear a lot of different hats. Over the 10 years that I've been doing this job, things have changed dramatically. I mean, we didn't have cell phones 10 years ago. We didn't have social media. I have to handle all the social media and website stuff. Fleet maintenance, they've got diagnostic machines out there now, so we've got new software, new hardware that all goes into that. I'll make it talk over wireless. We provide free Wi-Fi in our downtown, something we didn't have 10 years ago. So the job responsibilities have grown significantly over that time, yet I'm still the only person there doing it. Fortunately for me, if you guys are on the listserv, I queried everybody earlier in the week about, how big is your shop, what are your people. Fortunately, on Tuesday morning, I had a budget hearing with the council, and I get my first assistant. Doubling the staff. So, thanks to everybody in the organization. That's why I love Nickel Giza. With the information I got, I was able to present that to the council Tuesday morning, and they finally funded a very low-paying position, but it's a position. So I've turned into, over the years with all the responsibilities, I've become more reactionary than proactive. As a CIO, I don't have time to do a lot of strategic planning. I can't look 20 years out. I'm looking 2 or 3 years out because every day's break fix. So I'm hoping that with this position, I can unload some of the help desk stuff, the smaller jobs to them, and I can start focusing again on innovation and how I can make our processes better for the citizens in the industry.
I'm Randy Cress, CIO with Rowan County. We have a total of 12 staff. We had 11. We did get a position added based on management teams looking at where we needed a position, and that helps, and that's going to be up to 12 starting in July 1, assuming none of you know our board members until we don't need that position. But we should be good. We support all of the county departments, so that's 22 different departments. We have about 800 FTEs, so it's small and large, so I guess we're kind of in that middle size that might get, a majority of certain sizes of cities and, a lot of counties. We support every type of device, whether it's desktop laptop, tablet, crazy projects fleet, putting in, vehicle area networks. And prior to me coming on, we were we don't have the org chart, we were a relatively flat apartment. And that's, she said it's changed. We have a management team. I have two of my management team in here, so if you have questions, I'll refer you to them. I'll call them out. But a systems manager and network client manager as well. And so, we have a little bit different approach. I'll make this statement just so you know where I stand on it. Everybody says you want more people. Well, personally, I think that's the reason we have technology is so we can do a lot with a lot less people. We just get really good at what we do, and we do a lot of in-house. That's what we love to go talk to the vendors, but we want to do everything ourselves. But we do realize we can't do everything ourselves, and that's kind of the hard part is when do we need to turn it over to a vendor, and what are we not great at, and what are we not doing, multiple times. So we're really happy to talk about medium size. But yeah, what I found, I talked to Mecklenburg about professional development opportunities, and I spent the day walking around, and we talk about that we're all doing the same thing. It's just you've got more people and more projects. But if you look at the individual projects you're dealing with, everybody from a small shop to the largest shops can relate, which is so interesting. You may think you're so different, but find out when you start talking. So don't ever be afraid to talk to one person.
So you can see we have quite the range here, right? We've got 153 IT shop, we've got a 12-person IT shop, we've got 5, and now the newly minted 100% growth of the city of Conover to 2 people. So you have this awesome diaspora of IT shops. So my question to the panel, where would you find the benefit of collaborating between the different size IT shops? Where do you think some advantages would come in the collaboration of that? And I'm gonna throw that out to Chris first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can speak to that. There's a lot of things that I couldn't do in my shop, whether because of funding or expertise or skill set. And so we've been very fortunate under Terry Bledsoe, former CIO of Conover County. He was really, really great with working with us. And so when they rolled out their new phone system years ago, I got to piggyback on that. So I got the price break that the county had for thousands of phones. I was able to get that cost. When my backup server died, they started doing my backups for me. They provide our internet for us. So there's a lot of things, and I know not all counties and cities get along like this, but Conover County has been very fortunate, especially the small municipalities like mine, Newton, Maiden, and there's a handful of us that rely on the county, and it's great because we get to do things that we couldn't do otherwise.
Do you find that the collaboration is easier amongst IT professionals, or do you have to go from city to town manager, or?
Yeah, we try to keep the town managers out of it, because they just give you advice, honestly. I'll work directly with the IT guys down there, and generally when you get the higher ups involved, it gets really complicated. They try to mess things up, so we try to leave them out of the scene.
How about others, when you think about collaboration between small and large shops?
I know for us, one example was our team, our SMS team. They are the ones who support our DDI solution, and we partnered with Gaston County. And it's interesting when you support, the way I see it is when you partner with a organization that's smaller than ours, because you're able to see some of the innovation because they don't have the number of people. So that's how we were able to learn, and I know those two groups work really well together. I know that took place a few years back.
Yes. So, as we think about collaboration and the importance of it, that's why we're here at this Nickel Jesus conference, to share information and to see what things can help us. What tools have you found that help you to be more efficient that you could share with the group today? Chris Smith.
Well, I think about, I've talked with some of the Mecklenburg, and their break fix that they use is something that we don't have in our city. They've got a whole process that goes through before they can make a change on their network. They can come to myself or our manager and say, hey, we need this done, and it's something we can do right then. There's not a lot of planning time available to work through the whole process of seeing what is the ultimate outcome of that problem. Not even the problem, the solution, because that's the ultimate goal, is to get to that solution. But what is that solution going to break otherwise? Their break fix realm that they use allows that whole planning process to go through a test environment and everything like that. We don't have that. We are more reactive than proactive, and that's one of them that I would, it's a good tool that I would like to see used across more of the platforms.
Are there specific tools?
Well, I would say one of the easiest things that allows us to sit here and kind of enjoy ourselves at the conference and learn from each other is proactive monitoring. And I think that can be implemented across the board, no matter what size shop you are. And we also have it where not just IT is notified, but the departments that we work with. So they know just as soon as we know that something's wrong. And every time we have an incident, we're always tweaking our rules to make sure that we're catching it the next time. Because every once in a while you get things, that just fail. But, it gives you early indicators sometimes. But again, the tools are there. They range across the platform. But it is one of the best relaxing enabling tools is to know that everything you have that's on net can be monitored.
How about others in the audience? What are you guys using as far as tools to help you be more efficient in what you do? So let me back up here. This is a panel discussion. we all get to have a conversation, so it's a fancy way of saying a round table. So what types of tools are you guys using?
Donnie?
Being a small county, and I know Randy, I've been knowing Randy, Cress, and I went to, we went to CGCIL. Being a small county, and especially being a DSS that supports, anywhere from 40 to about 50 users, I'm looking for any tools out there that I ain't got to put a lot of money into that I can learn and then say, okay, I like this tool or it's not working. And I found a tool out there that actually allows me to monitor. And also just put in a sonic firewall, one of the high-end ones, because I went out and got a bigger pipe from one of the cable companies. Finally the state shut down all the frame relay stuff, centrally trying to force you to fiber. They want you to pay $800 for a fiber line. You're only paying $400 for it, a number of years ago. But I found a number of free tools that I could try out and use. One of them I think was net something, but I was able to actually see a person's PC without them being aware of it. So you can actually see them doing things. And so it allows me to log into my different number of servers I have. So it allows me just to monitor. And also, like I said, also have my sonic firewall, which is really starting to give me feedback about intrusions and things like that. But being a novice in the field, and I've been doing this now for 20-some years, but I'm still a novice compared to some of the large counties. Large counties, y'all got all kinds of conversion this and VMware this, and then it's like, okay, what the hell, I just got a server, okay? Active Directory, people can get on it, okay? I got some shares, I got some printers. You have to work from within the dollars that you have and from within the mindsets that you have within your county. I finally just got my PCs on a regular rotation cycle. Every 3 years, I'm going through my whole cycle of replacing. In the beginning, I was building. So I've had to move in that direction, especially if you're a one-man shop with somebody who's just helping you with the state stuff.
So you bring up a really interesting question or thought, and I want to throw this out to the panel and to the audience. How do you, as it relates to budget, especially I think both small shops and large shops have the issue of trying to get more money, right? And so how do you position your projects in a manner to secure funding for your department?
You get the buy-in of the departments that you're working with. You have them supporting you all along the way. We have a couple of expansion projects that we led, but the support letters came from the departments. So
Cress, do you want to chime in?
You build relationships. You build, that's what you have to start with. I don't care how many projects people, if they don't trust you to actually be able to do it, because you got some dumb IT people out there. They will tell you anything.
Not in this room.
the other brand.
Yeah.
They're in the other session. They're in the other session.
They will say, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do that. And they're like throwing money down a black hole. And eventually they say, we can't trust you to do a project. Why? Because this project is over budget. And you see it all the time now. You know, my county had to basically shut off all spending. Why? Because they figured they were already into next year's budget for something that was like $80,000 overrun that they didn't figure they would have. So it's like and that cuts into everybody else's. But you build relationships. They have to know or be confident in the fact that you are who you are and you have produced. Now I've had 17 years, so they know me by now. I'm leaving 5, but they know. They know. So I build relationships. I build relationships with people. I have conversations with people. I talk with people. I'm always available to them to answer questions for them, whether it's my stuff or whether it's their stuff.
And there's a couple things I wanted to respond back. Just elaborate on what you said as far as being a large shop. We just, as far as being able to monitor things, as I said, I manage the service desk, and we are just now getting the application solar winds, so we're able to monitor what's going on. Now, you would have think Mecklenburg County, all of these roads, all of this is going on. We're still in our, as far as what I see and the way I feel and how we're still in a reactionary mode a lot of times. And we're trying to move to a proactive. And I think one of the things, like the group that we formed now, the ITSM group that we're working together now, is going to help us move forward with that. The other piece of that is what you said as far as building relationships. You saw when I mentioned our CIO, I kind of dropped my head and said his name. When he came in, one thing that he did was he had the projects was either above the line or below the line. Now, if you go to a department and you tell them that your project may be important to you, but it's below the line, needless to say, those relationships are very So we ended up spending last year going back out, meeting with each department and having to reestablish those relationships. And I'm 17 years in the county myself, so some of those folks I've known since I've started there. And to see that relationship broken because you don't trust us anymore was hard for me. It really was. And I started at ESS. That's where I started supporting it originally. So when I got there to do their meeting, it was a hard thing for me. But I say now with the meetings that we had and showing them that, yes, they got rid of the terminology below the line.
Yeah, yours ain't cut.
Yeah, yours ain't, we're gonna put your project below the line.
Yeah.
And now it's a matter of, we get a list of the projects, and ours goes to our executive team level. Sandy, help me.
Yeah.
Executive team, is that what they're called? When it's the county manager and her group, assistant county managers. And if they approve it, then that's what we work on. They're giving us our directives, and that's how we work.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
probably.
going to touch on that a little bit as well. That's ultimately the way we work too, even in the city of Lexington. We have ideas galore, but they have to be presented in a way that it's a buy-in. And if that buy-in is not there, even from the departments, because we can have departments requesting upgrades and stuff like that, if it's not sold as a beneficial factor, it's put off. And we've went through this several times already, looking for potentially great upgrades that will be beneficial not only to city employees, but citizens as well. But the buy-in wasn't there from the top leadership, which in turn trickled down to the IT staff of, well, why can't we get this approved? And how do you answer that? Because you don't know the ultimate thinking of the city, in our case, city leadership, of denying that. So they look at us, middleman, pretty much, of, well, why can't you get our upgrade done? And then we have to build that relationship and say, well, look, we've submitted it, we've requested it, and it got pulled. So, with that being said, the ultimate goal out of any department is to build that relationship. So you've got that trust and confidence established. So when you do finally get it, and it's not the boasting, hey, look what we finally got done, it's, hey, now we can help you out type deal. So.
I found sometimes, having been there so long, my staff, department heads and all those guys, really value my opinion. They trust me. But when I go to council and ask for the money, their mindset is different. They're not on function, they're on dollars. I mean, they don't want to raise the tax rate because they want to get reelected, and that's how they think. So I've found that sometimes it's, even though they listen to me, having a third party actually come in, and they can say the exact same thing I do, but they'll listen to them because there's just an outside opinion. And I can say, we really need this firewall, we really need this, ransomware protection. Oh, we don't want to spend that money. Well, have somebody come in and talk to them and say, this is why you really need it. And sometimes that third-party perspective will make the sale for you.
Any questions from the audience? I found it interesting to hear both large shop, medium-sized shop, small shop say relationships were key, right? So that would suggest that we all need to get out of our IT silos and kind of get into some of these other departments to sort of see what they want to do, when in fact we chose to really work with a machine versus people, right? So how do you, panel, especially, I'm looking at Chris now, Niver, who is a one-person shop, who has all this break-fix stuff happening, and you're reacting to that, how do you build the relationships?
Well, because our city's small, we're 120 employees, it's a lot easier, because I see these guys every day, and I work closely with the department, everybody from the department heads down to the guy riding on the trash truck, because he's got a cell phone. And when he drops it and the truck runs over it, well, I'm working with him. So we're really, Conover, we're a dysfunctional family, but we're still all trying to work towards a common goal, and we all get along really well. And so that's very beneficial for us, the fact that I can work with them. And anybody can approach me at any time. My door's always open. I look at myself as my main task is customer service for our employees. I need to make sure that they get their job done so the citizens are happy. That's really the end goal. If the citizens are happy, then the council's happy. So it really trickles down. You can't be that nerd sitting in the basement on the computer anymore. That is not IT. We are not just coders and stuff like that. We are customer service, and you have to approach it like that. Watch some of the Disney videos on customer service and stuff like that. I mean, that's really something you should bring into your shop. You've got to have that personality. You've got to be approachable. So I think all that's really important to foster those relationships.
Absolutely. So yes.
The other thing that I found is when people mention things that they want to do in different departments, even if you're in the middle of something, taking a few minutes to sit down and look at it, and then within a matter of a short period of time, being able to bring back some options to them. That was something that happened recently with us, with our chairman of the Board of Commissioners. He had an idea about something, he mentioned it to me in the parking lot. I spent a day looking at it, I got back to him, and now he's super happy.
Absolutely.
So that's part
And
of it.
good, bad, or indifferent on that. If it can't happen, and you let them know, hey, look, we've vetted this, and right now, there's no, there's no way that it's possible to happen. Even that answer will suffice them for the next time they want to come up. At least they know that you put forth that effort to at least look at it.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is you don't say no first.
Right.
You know, I think that's one of the biggest things where, because I mean, you go back, it was like, no, we're doing it this way, and that's the only way, but then all of a sudden you flip to the other side and say, we're gonna try and figure out how it's gonna work. Like, we're working with the health department on some signature pads, and we were focused on how's this gonna work, and then all of a sudden you get further along into it, and it's like, is it really worth the effort? You know, they may just want it from a technology standpoint, we wanna figure out how to make it work, because it's gonna scale out. But then all of a sudden you get knee deep into it and it's like, is it easier just to have a signed piece of paper? You know, and then all of a sudden, like all this, it's not all about technology, it's about what you're trying to accomplish. But we didn't go in and say no. You know, we didn't start off with a no, we started off with, well, we'll put some time into this. And now when we meet with them, we get back into the office next week, I mean, it's gonna be a much easier conversation because we didn't start off with that.
And another thing with our shop, you know, being as large and having as many departments as we have, people know me because, like I said, I've been there for about 17 years, so they'll start, you know, they'll go with the names that they know. And if I can't find the answer, or if I don't have the answer, at least I can direct them to who does. And I think, and it's not just a matter of, here, I need you to call William, because William does that. I'll take the information, tell them whatever, do what I like to call a service desk, is a warm handoff to that person to let them know, look, I can't give you this, but here's the person, and I'm going to introduce you to William, and he can handle this for you.
So let that thing so you.
I was gonna say, another thing that we tend to do is like, if you're just, let's say you're at a meeting or in someone's office and you're talking with them, sort of be observant about how they work. And where you're not waiting on them to give you, I need help with such and such. I mean, I was in HR and I saw these thumb drives, and they had good information on them. And so immediately I was like, hey, you know what? You could easily lose that, someone could take it, and you'll lose that HR data. So why don't we put it on a server, carve out, you can do that? I can't, but I know people who can. And then, you know, you sort of build that trust that you're helping them with their own work, not necessarily a project or anything. Those are like mini projects, so we can do that.
One thing we're doing right now, and Niver brought it up with the customer service, we're doing in Service Excellent University. So basically, we're a staff of 200 people at the City of Newton, and each department, we're going through each department and spending, 30 minutes to an hour with that department, finding out what they're doing. So it's building that relationship like you talked about, but it's also understanding, all right, this is what IT does. So now they have a full understanding, all right, this is the workload of 2 people. So they become more understanding of what we're having, the workload we're going through. It also gives us a chance to, all right, build that relationship that you're talking about with those folks. But we're all going through, it's a year-long process.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a really neat program. We've had some, fights with it, but, Niver, I'm sure has heard about it. We're neighbors, so, but for the most part, people have really, they've stuck to it. It's a 4-hour program. Every Wednesday we've got some sort of program going on. You're going through some sort of either public works, or you're going through the water treatment plant, you're going through the police department, the fire department, and you're truly finding out what they're doing, what their job is.
Awesome.
Always keep them informed.
Yes, sir.
At the City of Graham, I came in 2 years ago, and the sites weren't even hooked together,
Wow.
and which I found that really awesome. But the key thing there, when I went in, I met with all the department heads, and I said, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm resourceful. And I'm not changing anything for 6 months. I want to know what you do. And went and visited with every site to find out what they did. And then I established a key person in each department, each large department. And And that person was my liaison back in Troy. And it's been a great relationship.
You must be looking at my sheet.
That's exactly right there.
Because I was just getting ready to ask the question, when do you enable or enact power users to help you accomplish IT goals? Yes, sir. Yeah, please.
I carried it one step further. When I got there, they had been using multiple people outside to help multiple departments, okay,
Right.
which caused some chaos in trying to bring everything together. So there's one company located there in Gray, not too far from there, that was a key person, and they had been looking after the servers at City Hall and so forth. So I have hired them for the price of half a person to monitor my servers, do all my AV updates, do all my workstation updates, and everything else. And even as far as with the police department in Toledo, they all have to go through the same testing and everything that I do, and be certified and so forth. And being a one-man shop, my job is IT coordinator, and that's what I do. I coordinate everybody's needs, and it works well. And we contacted a very good company to work with, and they have their head down. Customer service is number one, and it's just worked well.
Awesome. Awesome. How about others, Jim?
I would say from the answer to your question is always.
Yeah.
And I'll elaborate, we have department liaisons as well, and we've really strengthened our relationship. You work with registered deeds, Justin works with, public safety all the time, because, it has gotten to a consumerized IT, and you have to enable your liaisons and really give them whatever they need, because they're your champions in the department. And yeah, there's some rough, you'll go through patchy times where they're wanting to, potentially overstep, but everybody will learn and kind of level out over time. But just like you said, you don't know everything about IT. Well, you gotta think, these people are in the departments, they're in that department all day long. You know everything from all social services. You know everything that see fast. And we can't know all of that with 12 people. So you utilize the resources, and you give them everything that they need to be successful. That's the way to make it work. And, they are your priority. They're your canary in the coal mine. So.
I'm going to touch on the opposite side of that. Even as a four-man shop, we've got remote connections to laptop or to machines and everything. And we currently have no power users on our network other than our IT staff. So, well, I take that back now. We have one of our staff that put us at 4 go over to our utilities complex to run utility software. And she is very limited in networking on our systems. But I personally take it, the size shop we are right now, we can manage what we need to do with our staff, our 4-person staff, because even our manager goes out and does help desk calls. I do help desk calls. It's across the board. One thing it does for us is it gets us in those shops to be more intertwined with those shops and understand where they're coming from, instead of having, because one person, I agree, should be a contact, but that one person doesn't do everything in that department. So I see it as a way to get other feedback while they're out there working on someone else's machine, if they have to go out, to be able to communicate with the lower guys in the department. Because the lower guys might do one key role that is assigned by the middle to upper teams that doesn't complain because that's the way it's been done. But if these guys go out there and say, well, you could put that in an Excel spreadsheet, or you could put this on the server or whatever, and be able to actually do it, instead of then turn around and request that to go through the IT, which would be the power user. to be able to actually enact and do it right there. So that's the way I can see both sides of it, but we like getting people in the shops itself, so.
Come on, yes.
So I would say anytime we're rolling out a new project, something that changes, people are resistant to change. I think it's important to do a pilot program and have some lots of power users that can be excited about it, and you can get them on board, and they can share that with other users. I mean, like, say a virtual desktop or something, you can say, okay, you're not tied to this PC anymore. You can take your tablet to the meeting, or you can securely connect with home, you know, do work. You're not tied to this, and it can actually be a good thing, but, you know, anytime there's a lot of change, you're gonna run into conflicts. So I think having those liaisons, those champions within the departments, because it is all about relationships, so it's just a good way to build those.
Awesome. You was gonna say something.
And one of the things Mecklenburg County does is, throughout the county, is we use the trainings of cutting. And one of the things they did is called an opinion leader or thought leader. So we did that, started that internally, and we met within the different units, and just kind of, who is your opinion leader? And when I say opinion leader, it doesn't necessarily have to be like the manager or whoever, or, you know, the director of that department. It's who do you look at? Who in your department do you look at when change happens? If they accept it, you'll move forward. So we started that internally first. And then after we saw how it worked with us, then now that's how we have developed our, what we call, is our customer advisory board or a customer focus group. We're trying to figure out what name we want to call them. So when it's time for our projects and things, that is the person that we're looking at first, and they're in the group. So we get them on board to get them to go back and get their departments on board. And we'll have our first meeting, I want to say in the mid of July, because we're just going through this process right now.
You, then you.
I have a question, yes.
Yes.
So with a larger shop like Mecklenburg, you find that internally y'all are disconnected between your different departments or different sections versus Chris, where his manager is going out to fix stuff. Y'all find that disconnect going on internally with your teams where, well, that's not my section to do. I'm passing out to these people. I don't touch that. If I know how to fix it, that's not me. The not me attitude.
Well, let me say yes. Yes, we are siloed. We are in the middle of working out of that. And when you heard me say the word warm handoff, because I know it being a service desk manager, that is something that I have been trying. We have worked with our managers to understand that if it's something going on, technicians are out of the desk, and it is a network issue, well, they may not have rights to get into the closet or whatever, but they'll take the information, they'll let the customer know that this is what's going on, and they can't just take the ticket and drop it over into the queue. What they have to do is what we, like I said, on one handoff, they have to call the technician on call. We have, each group has a queue manager. They have to contact the queue manager, let them know what's happening, and then the ticket, along with journal notes on what took place, goes over. So yes, we work, let me say, we're kind of like moving toward that, and our goal, if we can get to 75, I'm going to, before I leave to do it, before I retire, we can get to that 75%, I'm going to be good.
Chris, you gonna respond to it?
You know, just like the gentleman from Graham, I ran into the same thing. We didn't have an IT department 10 years ago, and each department sort of had a sort of geeky person that would do things here and there. And that was great, instrumental for me, you know, to have that go-to person. Problem I found over the years, those people have either retired or changed jobs. Like my police guy, super smart, handled the laptops. You know, we changed from, basically they got mobile offices now. They do everything from their vehicle. Well, he's police chief now. He doesn't have time for this. And nobody has really stepped up down the ranks to do that. Same thing with my public works. Our fleet maintenance guy, when I came on, you know, handled all sorts of crazy stuff that they did in public works, time clocks and stuff, because the only department that has time clocks. Well, he's retired. And the new fleet mechanic supervisor's like, I want nothing to do with technology, I work on cars. And so all that got dropped in my lap, you know, and that was a big pickup when you're relying on somebody, a power user, to take care of the small things, you know, when I can't hop in the car and drive 3 miles over to Public Works to change the batteries in a wireless mouse for crying out loud. He was there and he could do that, you know, and so losing that person is hurt, so for sure.
You got a question, yes, sir?
So I'm Michael, I work for Wake County, so we're a large shop as
Yes.
well. And to answer your siloed question, yes, we're siloed very much so. One of the things we have kind of realized over the last, just even the last 3 months, is that we're doing just a ton of large-scale, enterprise-wide projects right now, all simultaneously. And we're a bunch of really smart people, but we're all on the geeky side of the house, so we don't talk to non-technical people very much. The communication gap between our department and other departments is very large. So we've kind of had this mentality lately, and we're actually looking to bring somebody on board to kind of help us with this process. It's kind of like what we call a communication specialist. And literally to do the translation from technical to non-technical, and to really kind of help with that relationship and the communication, and to make sure, you know, we're very shortly going to be changing offload notes on Office 365, and that's like a fundamental shift in how people work day to day. Changing mail platforms is not an easy thing to do, and to communicate that correctly in a way that's not going to just freak everybody out is critical. And that's kind of the thing that we're working towards, is how do we handle that relationship between, you know, the technical people who are all really good at what we do, and the non-technical people who use all the stuff that we do, and how do we maintain that relationship that way?
Absolutely, and I would suggest that that's a problem both in small, large, and medium-sized shops.
Yes.
Because in the technical space, that's where we feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, we love to go geek out on, you know, I mean, you can walk through the exhibit hall and you can hear all these geeky conversations going on simultaneously, like all this ones and zeros and hexadecimal code things going on. I've lost my technical card, haven't I? Yeah. All these things are going on, and it's fantastic. The issue becomes when we have to translate that to the actual business of what we're doing, and I think that's not inconsistent between large and small shops. So I would ask the question, because this is a panel, I would ask the question, how do you guys handle that? How do you guys, because you have to be geeky, right? Because that's what we do. But then how do you translate that to real things, like real things? Donnie's got his hands up too. You want to say something before I turn it over to the panel?
You know, speaking on
I got
your
three of
issue
them.
right here, moving on with your issue, there's one thing, and I learned it from I've always known it, but I learned it from the NC Fast debacle that's going on right now. It ain't NC Fast. There ain't no NC Fast. You always start from your lowest common denominator. Find out what they do or don't understand, and you build from there. Go down to the end user and build up. Because if you try to build down, you're a techie trying to shove that information into them. You have to start from where they are, figure out what they know or don't know, build up from there. You can bring somebody in. All that somebody in you're going to do is pay them a lot of money to tell you how you're supposed to talk to them. When it comes down to relationship and starting down there, say, what are we trying to do? This is what we're trying to do, and this is where we're trying to move to. All the relationship people in the world, all you can do is waste your money on them. But if you start from there, I really believe, because NC Fast is the greatest.
So tell us how you really feel about NC Fast.
What they did, and I tell people, they took and they shoved a lot of money up at the top here, and they changed all the terminology, how the workers down at the, so they told the workers, this is your new terminology to do programs they've been doing for 20, 30 years. Rather than going down to the worker and say, how can we build a software platform that will do all the things you want it to do, and then feed the information up to us, to whereas we can make the techies figure out how to spit it into a spreadsheet so it prints out a good report and all this other stuff. We'll be 20 years trying to train NC Fast stuff. And then they keep trying to shove P3, P4, P5 into this crap.
Yes. So I saw some hands go up, so these two, and then in the back.
Before county IT, I come from a customer service facing background with IT.
Yes.
And the way that I've gotten past the communication barrier is that I just start off with the assumption that they don't know tech speak.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't even start off with tech speak unless they start coming at me with it.
Right. Awesome.
But if you're needing somebody to convey that to your customers or to your workers, you're gonna be better off finding somebody who comes from a customer facing background directly, not just an IT background.
That's good. Awesome. Yes, sir.
I think some of the time, let me rephrase that, a lot of the time when we geek out, we're geeking out because it's what we're related to.
Yes.
And I found that when I'm working with the end user to fix a printer, to do this or do that, I have to stop and ask them, do they understand what I'm saying? And then based on the reaction that I get from them, the eyebrows that cross, the faces that wrinkle, then you can take it a step lower. Does that make sense? And they understand that you're exercising patience with them, it develops trust, and in the end, they know what's going on when you leave.
Absolutely. Because we don't bleed blood, we bleed ones and zeros. It's just really. Yes, sir.
So, Jason, Cabarrus County, so
Yes.
we're kind of middle of the road, I guess.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I've heard from some of you guys talking is that, several years ago when I was in the class, Shannon said, you start with, we're a utility, we're trying to keep the lights on, and we're trying to get to what, Duke Power is for everybody, where we are always there and everybody counts on us.
Absolutely.
And then at some point, we move to the other end of the spectrum where we are the innovators and we're the ones pushing change on people. And I think I think what's much easier for larger groups is that there are people up there that are dedicated to being innovators. Their top end job is to think and to push people in this direction. And I think because we kind of get sucked in, sometimes we're over here, and depending on what we're doing, we're a larger organization, and sometimes depending on what we're doing, we're a smaller organization. And I think when we go back into that smaller organization mode, you're kind of just fighting to keep your head above water. And so we fall back into that task of, hey, they've been doing it this way for 20 or 30 years, so we're going to let them do that because we're just trying to keep the lights on. That's not really our job, at least not from my standpoint. And, in today's IT world, it's not the 90s or the early 2000s anymore. Technology is really in every department, and everybody has to use it, whether they want to say they need us or not. And one of the big things that we can do for them, because all of the people that everybody that's coming into the workforce now, they know as much about using their desktop as we do, pretty much. I mean, they don't need us for that. What they need us for is to look on what's coming, what's on the forefront down the road. How can we help them improve their processes and push them from a technology standpoint to make their jobs easier? So just allowing them to say, hey, I've been doing this process for 20 or 30 years. I don't think we should ignore them, but just say, we've been doing this job for 20 or 30 years, this is how we should do it, is not really what our focus is. It's not just to keep the lights on, it's to put in solar panels.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. So, yes, sir.
I've got a kind of a different question that I wanted to ask before I get out of here. So this is kind of to the panel. How do you protect, especially in a smaller group, how do you protect your own IT staff from themselves? And what I mean by that is, I struggle every day. I'm writing PowerShells code and all kinds of stuff to automate things like moving machines into certain containers so I can get a GPO. Well, I don't want to give somebody on my help desk staff domain admin privileges, because the first thing they're going to do, they'll go up to a machine and add domain users not knowing what that does, and then all of a sudden I'm open up for something. So outside of trying to automate that, how are you handling your staff members that maybe should not have access in a smaller organization?
I'll say, as far as our network administration, there's 4 people that have access to our network that can make changes on our network. And that's the 4 within our IT shop. If there's a change that needs to be made, the analyst or the tech, if they're not sure, they will run it by us. However, we do give them the freedom to make those changes. And if we see where there might be a sway in an alternate path that shouldn't have been there, we use it as a training tool to let them know, hey, this is not the way we need it to go. We need to make sure we stay, our OUs are in this, I mean, everything's lined up the way we've got it set up. And we don't afford that opportunity for mistakes to be made outside of our small group. So,
you're
is it more work?
Are you giving them domain admin privileges, or are you actually setting up kind of roles within your Active Directory of what to let them do?
No, our 4, and our managers in here as well. I mean, the 4 of us have domain admins. So they, even our tech, can go in and add a user, put them in their OU, assign them rights. But she's also been there 7 years, been through the training that we need her to go through, so she understands what those rights can do. And she's very quick to ask questions in the event she's not sure. And there again, that goes back to the trust internally and communication internally of being able to build a cohesion that they understand what they're supposed to do. And if they don't, they understand that they have to ask, is this the right path to go? And then we still let them do it because future reference, they understand that it needs to go this route instead of this route. So training and observation is the 2 main things. Is it always the right way? That's the way, and this is a cliche statement and I hate it. My manager can tell you, just because it's been done that way doesn't make it the right way. So, is there something we can improve on? Of course. But until that improvement is in place, that's the way we're running with it. So.
What he's saying, you gotta go ahead and put the time into that person.
Exactly.
If they're worth keeping, then you have to put the time in them, to put them where they need to be, where you can trust them.
Yeah, I understand that, but then there's somebody's uncle's mother's brother that they're trying to help out there, and that's what I'm
Oh, well, and that's why you bring them in, and you have that private conversation with them. And
It's
you
a
say,
coaching moment.
this is your job, okay? You have to separate those things out because you can do damage to the organization, to us as a whole, and to your job, family or not. You could be without a job because of what you did for your family.
Yeah.
So you have that private conversation. But that's that's a management thing that you have to do. Welcome to it, baby.
Instilling trust. Instilling trust is the big thing.
That's personnel.
And I can relate to what you're saying. I had the opportunity, before coming to the School of Government, I worked in a place in Danville, Virginia. It was a highly political facility. We had one of the congressmen of our state had a grandson who was a web developer, fresh out of school, didn't have all of the skill sets needed, and yet I was feeling pressure because he had a appointment to our board to hire his grandson. So I understand what you're saying. It's not as easy as you can kind of shove that away.
Private sector.
But you have to have, and I agree with Donnie, you have to have the conversation not only with that individual, but the individual is pressuring you to sort of take these people into your, and I did have that conversation. I had cover from my CEO at the time. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of steps to that, but you definitely want to have that conversation because if not, you'll always continue to get that type of individual in your shop. And you'll always feel like you have to control, you're controlling your IT environment, not even citywide, but you're just controlling your IT environment. You'll find that you can't get anything done that way. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to provide the appropriate IT services versus controlling a personnel kind of situation.
Can you speak to what Maurice and follow up on him if you do have a situation like that and you you speak with it? Both Maurice and at School of Government are good recent sounding boards outside guests like that off of. Just know that you can hit them up with the details if it is something that's not quite as